This is Hockey Talk, where we talk everything hockey, and I am John.
And I'm Mike.
All right, Mike, let's go. Now, Mike, our first item up for tonight's discussion is Adam Gaudette. He scored his 12th goal of the season Saturday for the Ottawa Senators. He has a career high in just 22 games. How many goals do you think Gaudette's going to score this year, Mike? Because Gaudette has the second most goals on the Senators. When I made up these questions, he actually had the most goals on the Senators, but the next game, Tkachuk had 2 goals and took the lead from him. So is this guy a keeper in most leagues? And how many goals do you think he's going to end the season with, Mike?
He's not a keeper in any league. If he can get between 20 and 25 goals, I would consider him lucky. And the reason I say that is his current shooting percentage is 36%. There's no chance he can keep that up. Like I said, if he gets another 10 to 15 goals on the year, I would consider that a ceiling for him. There's no way he can keep this pace up. He's never been a prolific scorer. He's bounced around the NHL to a few different teams. So I think this is more of one of those flash in the pan types of runs that he's on.
Well, just saying, he was leading the team in goals Saturday night. So, but I mean, maybe
Yeah,
that's
well,
not
I
saying a
don't
lot.
anticipate that keeping up. And if anybody does, well, shame on them. It's not going to happen.
So he has not been picked in any of the hockey pools that you're in, although
I don't believe he's picked in any of them. Like I said, he's bounced around the NHL for I don't know between 5 and 10 years. I don't know the exact number, but he's been around for a while, and he's never put numbers like this up. It's an anomaly at this time, and I don't think there's any way that he's going to put great numbers up at this point of his career. He's only got 1 assist on the season as well, so
yeah, I
you
know I
know.
saw that.
I think he's just got some fortunate bounces or that type of thing so far. So don't expect it to continue.
Okay, so if anybody's out there looking to scoop him up, maybe not such a good idea. Maybe there's other players that would be better served. Okay, well, let's go on to the second part for the Senators here. Now, the Senators are 10, 12, and 2, and second last in their conference, which is certainly not good. Mike, what is this team's largest weakness? What the hell are they doing wrong here?
Well, once again, it looks like it's goaltending again. Neither goalie has played very well. And I don't know if it's necessarily just the goaltending. I think maybe the team defense needs a little bit of work here too. Maybe the coaching needs to be better when it comes to that. I don't watch a ton of Ottawa Senators games personally, so to pinpoint it, I wouldn't be able to do that necessarily. But when you're looking at numbers and that sort of thing, the goaltending has just not been good. Neither goalie has a great save percentage. Maybe they're giving up too many high danger chances to the opposition, and at the end of the day, the pucks are going in the net and they're losing, so they're just not outscoring other teams.
Right.
So, not quite sure what their solution is. I mean, they've got some really good core players. It's a matter of them putting it all together and playing a system that's okay, playing a system that's going to work a little bit better than what they're currently doing. Sorry, that's
Well,
Niall. He sees somebody outside.
that's all right. Niall's allowed to bark in his own house. Tough to stop him from barking in his own place. So, well, I watched the game with Ottawa and Saturday, and I mean, Tkachuk, he's a pretty good player. I like his
Yep.
grit. He's a good player. But he scored 2 goals, but then after that, it seemed like he was just trying to jam the puck in. Like it kind
Mm.
of looked like our Monday Night Hockey sometime when you see the guy just trying to jam it in. Like he didn't seem to get very creative when he was down low. So I'm not sure if he just lost his sense of what he was doing or because he
Yeah.
has the skills. I don't know. Anyway, who am I to question, to Chuck when he's on the ice? He knows way better than I do, but still a very good player.
Yeah.
Very good player. All right. Well, we'll go on to the second topic then for this evening. and that is the PWHL. And Mike, I want to talk about the PWHL, the Professional Women's Hockey League, because they started their second season the other night. And that's a month earlier, I believe, than it started last year. It's a 30-game season this year, so that's good. It's up and going. One of the rules is called the no escape rule. I had to look it up to see what it was. It means that when a penalty is called, the players on the ice at that time of the call has been made, they have to stay on the ice for the penalized team. Mike, what do you think of this rule, and could this ever be implemented in any other professional leagues?
It's an interesting rule. I don't foresee it being implemented anywhere else. It's more of a type of a gimmick type of thing. And then again, I mean, a lot of people said the same thing about the shootout when, the shootout first started
It was
coming
a
into
gimmick,
play.
yeah.
Right. So they were, more of a gimmick type of thing. But this one here, I mean, you know, specifically for like the NHL teams and stuff. I mean, they pay players based off of what their performance when it comes to penalty killing and that sort of stuff. So I don't foresee the NHL adopting a rule like this. Maybe some te- uh, minor leagues may end up thinking about it after they've seen how it works, but I wouldn't expect the NHL to do anything like this, to get this to pass with all the owners and that sort of stuff. It would be a lot of work, I think. So I don't see that in the future of the NHL. But as I said, you never know. Maybe some of these, minor league operations may give it a try and see. Who knows? But it'll be interesting. I mean, um, it really punishes the team that took the penalty a lot harder than what is current, because the players that were on the ice are forced to stay out. Some of them may not be penalty killers, so their defensive play may not be great either. So we'll see over the first few games and see what the end result is after the first week or so.
Now, I agree with you on the first rule, and some of our friends that I've talked to about it agree with what you just said as well. Now, the second rule that I'm going to mention here, the jailbreak rule, I like it better personally. And that is if you score a shorthanded goal, the penalty is canceled. Mike, what do you think of this?
Once again, another like gimmick type rule. I haven't really thought. I mean, it's interesting. I will say that. I'd have to kind of see it, like when the games actually are on the go. There, if they've played games so far, I haven't seen any of them yet. But
They have started playing, yes.
yeah, I know they just started recently, so I mean, I don't know how many games have been played by each team, but uh, yeah, it's a tough one. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that one yet, but it's interesting. I will say that.
Yeah, I like that one better than the first one. I'm not a big fan of the first one, but hey, who knows? Like you said, we'll see how it goes. And I do plan on watching a few of these games this year so that we can talk about it a little bit more, just to discuss how things go. I mean, we are everything hockey and PWHL's hockey, so we'll bring
Yeah,
it up.
for sure.
So the third topic for this evening is the Calgary Flames. Now, Mike, when I found this out, I was a little bit shocked. They've gone 22 games in a row without scoring more than 3 goals. Now, this hasn't happened since the 2014-2015 Phoenix Coyotes. Now, they're also dead last in the league, Calgary, that is, dead last in the league with goals scored in the first period with a whopping 12. Mike, how is this team 3 games over 500? And by the way, Saturday was their fourth loss in a row. Now, I know they've played since then. They played Columbus. They beat Columbus the other night. And I think now actually they're 4 games over 500. I just don't understand. This team just can't score, and they're winning games. I mean, is their goaltending that good? What's going on here?
You know, um, I can't believe that they're in the position that they're in right now either. How they're where they are, who knows? However, with that being said, I mean, their goaltending has been pretty good. Dustin
Yep.
Wolf has played really well. Dan Vladar, the backup, he's been decent. He's had some good games that he's gotten some wins. He's also had a couple of bad ones, but Dustin Wolf is the real deal. He's a really good goaltender. Um, and that's the only thing that I can really see how they're winning these games, because they don't score enough goals to
That's
be,
right.
beating teams in like, you know, big high scoring games. If you're only getting 3 goals a game at most, the goaltending has been some good. Maybe the Senators should talk to Calgary and see what they're doing there. So, but because the Senators tend to score a lot more goals in Calgary, but they generally give up a lot more than they do as well. So, but yeah, I don't foresee Calgary holding on to where they are. It's just a matter of time. And I know I've said this before.
Right. Yeah, we've talked about it before, but still.
Right. So, I mean, it's how they're doing it. It's a great question. I don't know who would have the correct answer for that. So,
For me, the reason why I wanted to bring them up again is when I found out that many games without scoring more than 3 goals in a row. I was like, really? Good
mm,
Lord, when's the last time this happened? The 2014, 2015 Coyotes? Well, holy jumpers. Obviously, this is not something that happens very often. So,
no.
pretty shocking. All right, well, let's go on to our fourth topic for this evening. And I want to chat a little bit about the Columbus Blue Jackets, Mike. Now, we don't usually talk a whole lot about Columbus, and I wanted to bring them up today. They won their last game Sunday night. Now, I know they have played another game since I made up these questions and they lost that game. But Sunday night, they played against Chicago. Now, Chicago's not a good team. But hey, they won 6-3. They are 11-9-3 overall, and they've won 2 in a row. And 6-3-1 in their last 10. That's pretty good. Now, Zach Werenski, he leads the team with 26 points in 23 games. And their best forward, Kirill Marchenko, he has 24 points in 23 games. Mike, is this team surprising you even just a little bit? Or has the reality of what's going on just not hit Columbus yet and they're going to fall off the charts here?
You know what? It is surprising that they've done as well as they have. Because in all honesty, I mean, they have a few guys, 3, 4 guys that can consistently put up points. At the ones you mentioned, Werenski and Marchenko being their top two. They've also got, Monahan's had a decent season so far.
He has played
Chinikov,
well. He has
yeah,
played well.
and surprisingly, because I thought, with the whole losing Johnny Gaudreau, that it was really going to hurt them because they were slated to play together. However, he's found some good chemistry with Marchenko, and they've got Chinikov, who was playing well up until getting hurt. Voronkov has played well for them. Normally, the issue with Columbus is the goaltending is generally brutal. So Merzlikins has played a little bit better this year. Not saying that he's back to top form or whatnot, but yeah, that's a little bit surprising how well they've done. And I will say that Marchenko, he's going to be a really good player in the league. So I'm not overly surprised with his production. I've been watching him for a couple of years. I actually had drafted him in one of my dynasty pools a few years back. So um, and he's going to be a good player for them. The other guys, though, maybe performing a little bit over their head. And the reason I say that is, Werenski, he's never been a defenseman to put up more than a point per game, and he's very injury prone. He gets hurt every year. So, right now, I think they're probably, doing a lot better than probably how things are going to go the rest of the year, unfortunately. And I'd like to see Columbus do well, but I think with what you said, I think they are going to come back down to earth here at some point. And even with how well they're playing, they're still not in a playoff spot right now. In
No,
the
that's right. They are out. Yes. It's
so
close, but they're out.
right. I mean, the Flyers are in a playoff spot right now. Who would have seen that coming? Not
Oh,
me.
just wait till the questions at the end, Mike. Just wait till the
Oh,
hockey
okay.
profit questions. Well, it just goes to show everybody that you really don't know what those hockey profit questions are.
I absolutely don't.
So now that we brought up the Columbus, and I wanted to talk about Columbus and Calgary in a row like that on purpose, because I wanted to talk about the Johnny Gaudreau, just the way that they handled that in the tribute way they handled it in Calgary and how well it was. I mean, the mother and the father were both there. The father was on the ice with the players. It was it was really tearful. I mean, I was tearing up. Like I couldn't control myself. Like I'm not that emotional of an individual, so it was quite something the way they handled it. I just want to know what you thought of it. I know you watched some of it and you saw the highlights. What did you think?
Yeah, you know what? It was great, and I'm not surprised. I mean, for the time that he played in Calgary, I knew they were going to do things right, and all the players wore his jersey in the warm ups, and
That's right. Yes,
they had his parents and I believe his wife came onto the ice there during the pregame ceremony. So, great on Calgary to do that. Not surprised that they did such a great job with it. I fully expected that. So, it's good on them. And I mean, I know when Rasmus Anderson scored the first goal of the game, he basically gave a salute up to the rafters
he
there.
did.
So,
Yes. Hmm.
so I'm sure it was a real difficult game for those guys because I mean, a lot of those guys played with him, and to actually be able to focus on hockey probably would not have been easy on them either.
There's obviously some people out there that they don't like hockey. They don't like the NHL. They would maybe say it's too violent. I understand all that, but you have to give it to these teams when it comes to this sort of thing. These teams, they all handle this stuff so expertly, and it's really, really a tribute to the way that they handle all this. It's pretty tough stuff to deal with, and they really handle it well. I'm impressed. So, all right. Anyway, let's go on to our hockey prophet segment, Mike, where you are the hockey prophet. I have 5 questions here that I'm going to rattle off for you. All right, Mike. So, are you ready for these 5 questions? And let's see how fast you can do it. Are you ready?
All right, fire away.
Okay, Mike. Number 1. Do you believe Stuart Skinner should be picked for one of the 3 goalies to represent Canada in the Four Nations Face-Off tournament? What do you think? It doesn't look like
Uh,
he's going to be. Do you think he should be?
right now, people might disagree, but I think yes, he should be.
Huh, I agree with you. I agree. Okay, number 2. Brady Tkachuk has 28 points in 24 games this year. Will he finish with the most points on the team?
Yes, I'll say yes, but he'll be really close with Tim Stutzel.
Stutzel's a pretty good player. Okay, number 3. Now, remember, I made these up a few nights ago. The Devils, the Wild, and the Jets, they were all tied for the most points in the league this year. They all had 36 at the time. I will say now that Washington also has 36 points. Will one of these teams win the President's Trophy?
Geez, that's a tough one. I think if one of them does, it'll be New Jersey.
Okay. I know, tough question, tough question. Number 4. Have the Avalanche solved their goaltending woes with the trade for Scott Wedgwood?
No, no. I mean, he played well in relief last night. However, he's been
And
a
they did
career
win.
backup goalie. He's I think he's like 30 years old now, so he's not young. No, they will get another goalie before the season's over. I think Georgiev's time is pretty much up.
Okay. And finally, Mike, number 5, and I'm sure you'll be glad when this is all over with. At the beginning of the season, 25 games in, would you have believed that the Rangers and the Flyers would both be tied in the conference with 27 points each and both be in a playoff spot?
No, I would have totally believed the Rangers would be higher and the Flyers probably a little bit lower. But I'm
Yes,
I'm
and
happy with it. I will say that.
and I'll tell you, looks like Frost is keeping up the point production there. I've been
He's
keeping an eye
started
on
to
him.
come around, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, Tortorella, he likes the tough love type of thing to get these guys back on track. I mean, it worked with Mitchkov after he scratched him for a couple of games. Looks like it's working right now with Frost. And I mean, Frost is a talented player. It's just a matter of developing the consistency, which is what he needs to do. And I mean, he's playing with Mitchkov. So if you've got a centerman like Frost who's creative, to give it to a guy that can shoot and score, I mean, there should be, they should have chemistry based off of both of their play styles. So uh,
Right.
I just think it's a matter of them, kind of gelling together and keeping consistent because one of the things that Tortorella had talked about was he'd really like to be playing Mitchkov on the same line with Konechny, but they both play the same position. So he's refrained from doing that except on power plays and in overtimes. And I mean, the funny thing, and I was talking with Ben the other day about this, is the Flyers only have, out of all of their wins, they only have 5 regulation wins. Every other win that they have is from overtime or a shootout. Now, if you follow the Flyers for as long as I have, you'd know over the last 6, 7 years, the Flyers have been atrocious in overtimes and shootouts. I think they've got more overtime and shootout wins this year than they have in the last 5 years combined. Uh, it's not much of a turnaround. So to have, and I think they have 7 or 8 wins in just in overtime or shootout. I don't know the exact number, but so yeah, I like Frost has played better. Mitchkov's played better. Konechny's been consistently playing well the whole season. Some of their other guys need to develop a little bit of consistently, like Tippett. He's got to be, a little bit more reliable um, as far as scoring and putting up some points. As like a lot of the players on the team, they'll go and they'll get a few points and then they won't do anything for a few games. So it's just a matter of developing some consistency, and I'm hoping that it continues. If they make the playoffs, I'll still be surprised. So hopefully, I will be. We'll have to wait and see.
I guess the question is, can Frost handle the defensive responsibilities that he needs to do at center?
I
You know,
think so, but he needs to keep focused on it. And this is one of the things that Tortorella had talked about, like for scratching him. It was more not necessarily because his offense wasn't good, and don't get me wrong, it wasn't good, but he wanted him to be a lot more tougher to play against, especially defensively. In the first couple of games that he got back into the lineup, Tortorella even gave him a compliment, saying that what, he's played a lot harder. He's earning his spot now. But I think and like you said, it's something that he's got to do every game. Can't take games off, and that's the thing. So
right.
you know, and it's tough. There's going to be some, like, I mean, we have all played hockey, so I mean, there's going to be some games that you're playing and you're just kind of not into it as much as others. So it happens. But I mean, in the NHL, these guys have got to be like on the ball all the time, and especially when you have a coach, it's tough. Like Tortorella, he's a tough coach, so he's going to hold you accountable when you're not, playing the way that he needs you to play. So, and that's something that these guys, they may not like it, but
I'm
once they
sure some of
learn
them
from
don't.
it and that they can maintain that play, then you know then they're good. So, and I mean, the same thing has happened with Mike Keenan. Mike Keenan was a tough coach, and you know how he was with the goaltenders. He'd be pulling them and putting them back in, sometimes multiple times per game at times. So more head games I find with Mike Keenan though than Tortorella, because Tortorella is pretty straightforward. But
Yeah, Tortorella will tell you what he's thinking. There's no
right,
guessing anyway.
yeah,
So Mike Keenan seemed like a lot of head game stuff,
a
like you
little bit,
said.
yeah.
And the goaltending's been better for the Flyers, don't you find?
And that's the other thing that I wanted to talk about too. Is it's funny because they had Urson, who was basically their starter. Once he got hurt, they started to play the two Russians, and they played great. Fedotov has picked up his game. Kolosov has been playing well. Uh, I don't know, maybe, and I know that the language barrier was tough for them. Plus, they've got Mitchkov there, so I I'm curious as to what the Flyers are going to do once Erson comes back, because the team's playing well right now. I know it's not ideal to be carrying three goalies on your team, but it's kind of hard to start sitting out the two guys that have, helped keep the team afloat in the meantime. So I'm curious to see what happens. And plus, not only that, but having a couple of these guys on the and I'll be honest with you, I know that none of the three Russians, Michkov, Kolosov, and Fedotovs, none of them, their English is very good. So having them on the same team together to communicate with each other is probably very helpful for them. So I'm hoping that they keep it together. Not that I don't like Urson, but I like the Flyers winning. So if this is what it takes to have that happen, then it is what it is.
All right. Well, Mike, was there anything else that you wanted to go over in tonight's episode?
Well, not go over tonight because I think we'd probably get a little bit too in depth with it. But maybe for next week, I know they just announced the lineups or the rosters, sorry, for the Four Nations tournament that they're going to have. So
Yep.
maybe
Which
we'll
is
get
why
into that a little bit.
yeah, that's why I brought it up tonight because I figured next week we'd talk about it. And
Yeah,
I think I also want to get into the World Juniors.
yeah, that was the other
Wait,
thing. So I think next week we'll do the Four Nations tournament and some talk about the World Juniors, and anything that pops up through the week here for news NHL related, we'll touch up on as well. So
all right. Well, that's it for tonight, guys. Like, share, and subscribe. Let us know in the comments where we went wrong. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you next week. Later.
see you later.